There are 4,315,275,402 Alabama football podcasts on the internet. And now you get to ignore every single one. This is the Houndstooth Podcast. Real talk from real fans. We gump to a standard around here. Recapping the Alabama Crimson Tide and college football from around the SEC and across the nation. This is the Houndstooth Podcast. And here are your hosts, Bill Sylvie, Jessica Brand, John Henry, and Bo Ganora.
Good evening, sports fans, and a mighty roll tide to you folks out there who are watching and listening. It's good to see you. And, well, what can I say, folks? We are in the twilight of the 2022 season. We have got two games under our belt to discuss tonight. We've got the trivia wrap-up, which I don't think anyone got, but we will talk about it a little bit tonight, and we'll talk about the Iron Bowl, and we'll talk about Alabama's disposition in this massive, potentially chaotic mix-up and mess-up, and all the news from around college football. So let me just go ahead and bring in a set of better brains here and say good evening and roll tide to Bo Ganora.
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
It is going well, and of course, I cannot say enough about John Henry, our awesome man with the numbers. John, how are you this evening?
Hey guys, how's it going tonight?
It is going well. Roll Tide, my brothers.
Roll Tide.
So we have two games to catch up on now. I'll just say this. Austin Peay went about as expected. Honestly, I would look, the fellows from Austin Peay, you guys, you played your level best. They know what they were there for. We know what they were there for, right? So it was a game that really, it was a 34-0 romp, but I got to say something, and this plays into this kind of plays into the expectations that come as an Alabama fan. Oh, thank you, Tonka Todd. I appreciate that, brother. This is a game that 2021 Alabama would have put up 56 points. This is a game that 2020 Alabama probably would have crept very close, dangerously close to the 70-point mark had we played off conference teams, cupcake games that season. And I feel the same along. So I'm gonna ask the rhetorical question, and then I want you guys, if you have any comments about this, to come back. Outside of any specific considerations for high tide, low tide, elephant stomp, that sort of thing, did you guys leave the table a little less than satisfied against Austin Peay? I did.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. The starters were in way too long for that caliber of competition.
I agree. I agree, and I'll say I feel like if you were going to leave the starters in that long, why didn't we score more? I mean, yes, okay, Nick Saban does not like to run the score up, particularly against non-conference cupcake teams. I mean, it is a degree of bad sportsmanship. You go back to, and I need to look at the schedule here. You go back and look at us against, was it? Utah State. We had this discussion about Nick not wanting to stick 70 on a team. But at the same time, I mean, we were rotating guys out of the game and taking victory formation with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, which is nuts. I mean, that's just insane.
Know that that's not more humiliating than just scoring a touchdown.
I think it is. It is. Oh, you poor guys, you can't score. We'll just take a knee. It's okay. You guys try and score a touchdown. It's all right. No, I think it is kind of humiliating. But to get back to brass tacks, to talk a bit about Austin Peay, go back and look at this game, not this specific game, but the pre-Iron Bowl games all the way back to 2008. Nick cried havoc and let slip the dogs of war in all those games. Are we so dysfunctional this season that we couldn't do that? Not from a coaching standpoint, from a playing standpoint. John, what do you think?
There's a bit of playing down to your level of competition in this, and that Austin Peay game was a bit of a slop fest. It was 11 a.m. It was on whatever it was on. I couldn't get it. I had to listen to the radio broadcast. So I missed some things the first time around. It was not an exciting game, and the players sometimes pick up on that vibe and respond. To me, it was one of those games where they just couldn't get excited for it, no matter how they tried, and they knew they were better, and they executed well enough. The defense played well enough. The offense just looked really sloppy. And,
yeah, I'm
after
definitely.
you faced like Ole Miss and LSU and Tennessee and Mississippi State all in a row, I kind of get it, but you can't really do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it was a punishing and kind of a heartbreaking road trip we had, and I can definitely understand just saying, look, man, we just want to get around this and just rest up and nobody gets hurt for Auburn, And
there may have been some of that. Oh, that poor little kitten going on too. I don't want to hurt the kitten.
All right. So I'm going to run down the stats just briefly, but I mean, this is nothing I'm about to say should surprise anyone. Okay. This is not talking about Elephant Stomp and that sort of thing in this game is like, hey, how bad did you beat that kid in that foot race there? So I'll just run down the stats. And if you guys have anything to say about it, if there's any outstanding plays that you saw, if there's any, oh my gosh moments, then by all means, hit me. So we had 27 first downs. Our third down efficiency wasn't great, 5 of 12. Our fourth down efficiency was better, 3 of 3. 527 total yards, 264 passing, 22 of 30, 8.8 average on the pass. We threw an interception. How about that? We had 263 yards rushing with an average of 5.8 because we ran the ball 45 times. The check cleared, so we only had 4 penalties for 30 yards. I honestly think that the referees were afraid for their lives over that one. 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers. And we controlled the ball for 35 minutes and 41 seconds, probably out of lack of desire to hang on to it any longer. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if I could say low tide, it would be 3 turnovers.
Yeah, I would go with that. I mean, okay, so it's been a couple of weeks, and it was Austin Peay, so I've kind of forgotten a lot about what happened. But I do remember 3 turnovers being not a good look.
Yeah, we were we were all on the Discord, Alabama Sports Discord, watching the game. I was more interested in the giant plate of ribs and fries and slaw that I had, but I was keeping my eye on the game. It was on ESPN 8, I think. The Ocho. And it was, every time we'd fumble, I just like, well, let's just say I'm washing barbecue sauce off the ceiling. Okay. Yeah. That's how we are. I was not happy with the fumbles. Nick seemed pleased, not with the fumbles, but I mean, in the overall. So that's John. Unless you've got any points you'd like to bring up about the game, I think that's about it for the Austin Peay Governors. Hey, good on you guys. I hope none of y'all got hurt, and best of luck in your church parking lot car wash bowl or whatever it is y'all play.
Real quick, Jace McClellan. 17 carries, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a nice thing for the guy.
Roll Tide, Jace McClellan. Thank you very much. Roll Jace. Roll Jace.
I'm pleased with how he's performing late in the season. Really am.
Yeah, hopefully he'll play for us in whatever bowl game we've got coming down the pike, which again we'll talk about later. But we have cleared our plates. We've enjoyed our salad with the vinaigrette and the oil. And the dinner roll, it was quite delicious. Thank you. No, I wouldn't like any more. I'd like you to bring the main course out. And that, of course, was de-pantsing Auburn in our home stadium. No struggle win. But, I mean, people say, oh, come on, Bill. Auburn was 5-7, beating up on them. What glory is that? All of it. All of it. Auburn could be 0-11. We could be 0-11. And if we go into that game and we beat Auburn, as a Crimson Tide fan, I'm here to tell you, boys and girls, that is a winning season. I do not like them, Sam. I am. So, yes, I did thoroughly enjoy trouncing the Tigers. So let's get into some team stats then, if we can. And then we'll high tide, low tide. 26 first downs. 6 of 9 was our third down efficiency, because we didn't wind up on third down that often. It doesn't sound like great stats, but it's better than Auburn's. They were 4 of 14 on third down. However, they were 2 of 2 on fourth down, which I hate. 516 yards, 343 in the air. Man, I know the odds of Bryce coming back to us are minimal to none. But roll Bryce. If you bring that arm back to us, which I'm going to discuss that in a minute. 20 of 30. That's a nice tight number. Thank you, Bryce. You make that easy. Two-thirds of his passes completed. With an average of, and this is my high tide, 11.4. He aired it out. For the first time all season, he was putting air under the ball on average. Rushing 173-34 with an average of 5.1. Now, Auburn was 318 on the ground with 395 total yards. Their average was 7.4, which was frustrating. However, we did bounce a check and were penalized 11 times for 102 yards. And we did turn the ball over, of course, once, because why not? So high tide for me in this game. Again, seeing Bryce put some air under the ball. Low tide, turnovers. Elephant Stomp. My Elephant Stomp goes to the only hateful competitor I saw out there. Will Reichard. He stopped a man. He didn't just stop a man.
He blew him up.
Lit him
flexed
up.
On him.
He lit him up and he flexed on him. Will Reichert, the man with a golden leg, jumped up and he reminded me of Anderson back when we had Anderson on defense in 2015, 2016. And he would get in guys' faces, except, of course, he's like a third the size of Will Anderson. But he did it. He was a hateful competitor. He had to have a teammate kind of say, all right, man, all right, that's it, And he's coming back to us next year. He is the hateful competitor type that I have been waiting patiently to see all season. And I mean, Bryce, twice as nice, cool as ice, does not rattle. He does not tattle. He just sits back and lets plays develop and listens to Nick. But he's not hateful. Will Reichert, Elephant Stomp. Salute, my friend. All right, boyos, what do you got?
Go, Bo.
All right. Okay. So my high tide was finally seeing Bryce play like he's not injured. I think he's finally over the majority of what was going on with his shoulder. And low tide was, just the 100 yards and penalties again. That bothers me. And Elephant Stomp was the long touchdown run.
Yeah.
McClellan, Chase McClellan, was it McClellan that broke that one, or
No, his longest was 8. You talking about the Jameer Gibbs?
yeah, Gibbs, yeah, sorry, yeah, Skip, yeah, the long, it was like what 74 yards or something. It was, I mean, it may not have been, but it seemed like it.
Well, that's similar. So for me, and let me just give a shout out to the offensive line. They pass blocked very well, and Bryce had all day to do his thing.
Oh my gosh,
our run blocking.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's that?
No, I was just going to say, Bryce had time to finish like his final papers that he had to turn in to get to graduate. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw him bring out a calculator at one time. Maybe one of those. What were the HPs they used?
I think he took a power nap.
Yeah, that's possible. There were some. I mean, there were some times where if they had counted how long he had stood back there, they might have run a battery out and a timer.
Yeah.
The run blocking still needs some work. I don't know. We're not finding very many holes there. I don't know what the deal is with that. But yeah, the passing game, you can tell Bryce Young is getting more reps. So yeah, it looked as sharp as they've looked all year. I don't even want to talk about the run defense. Pass defense was pretty good, but the run defense was not. So my high tide was Bryce Young's 32-yard pass to Ja'Cory Brooks, cap an 8-play 92-yard drive. That was a nice play. My low tide, Jarquez Hunter 134 yards, Robbie Ashford 121 yards, Tank Bigsby 63 yards, 318 yards on the ground. That is what we gave up, but in the gave up trying to throw passes. They just started running all over us, and that was frustrating. And I know that we're a little thin up the middle because we're injured, but we've got to do better. My Elephant Stomp was the Jameer Gibbs 23-yard touchdown run to finish that game off. That was he got a nice little hole, made a cut, and he was gone. That was pretty.
Yes. Definitely agree. So yeah, in the overall, I mean, the Iron Bowl was exactly what I had hoped for. It was a nice finish to a not great season, and I want to speak to that before we get to halftime because we got a little bit of time to play with. I got one of those, hey, remember this things up on Facebook the other day, and it was it was from 2014. We had actually done a little staycation here in town. We were out at a Disney resort, and my wife and my kids were watching a Disney movie in the main part of the suite, and I was back in the master bedroom, and I was watching Alabama play, and I just had a fine old time. I called up friends and gave them a roll tide on the phone. And 2014 was not a great season for us because but it was just good. And I remember thinking about that and just having a lot of fun that night. And I wonder, like, I want to ask each of you guys, not in general, not how do you feel about the fans. Let me just ask you something. Are we so addicted to one natty after the other that we can't enjoy just good Alabama football?
I mean, I think a lot of, Alabama fans are, but whose fault is that? I mean, that's Saban's fault, right? He spoiled us, right?
He has
Big
spoiled.
jerk.
I mean, if we I mean, hey, the buck starts with the main guy. So, and it's really, what has it been? What's the longest amount of time that we've been without a national championship with him as coach? Like
3
3 years, right? Right, 3 years. So possibly next year, but it's definitely the next year, right? And then if he doesn't win one in the next 2 years, then maybe the dynasty actually is over. But I mean, we just went 10-2, and the only two losses were at the last play of the game to top 10 teams by a
On the
total of
road.
4 points
On the road.
So
When our quarterback couldn't practice.
yeah, exactly, right. So I mean, I'm not making excuses. The record is what the record is, but there's a difference between the two losses that Alabama had and the two losses that, I'm sorry, the 3 losses that LSU has.
3.
So, let that sink in. And then I saw something on, I don't know, one of the social media sites about, it's like 11 weeks into the season, Tennessee 9-2, best season in like freaking 50 years. And it was like 9 weeks into the season, or 11 weeks into the season, Alabama 9-2, worst record under Saban since 07.
And I think there's a truism to that, to fan expectations as Bama fans. And folks, let me tell you something. I've got a great pair of fellow commentators here on the channel. I read stuff off of the wire basically that I get for you guys, and then I give it all the nuance that a knucklehead like me can. But Bo and John really do their homework. I wish Jess was an MIA, but I mean, she is a numbers genius also. So all I can really give is an opinion, and that is, there's an expectation in the sports world, and there has been since 2009, that Alabama is a constant, that you rise to meet what Alabama can do and you make adjustments. You can't overcome them. All you can do is just kind of try-ish to sort of emulate them. Now, has Georgia done that? Do they have the secret sauce in Great Value Lane Kiffin, aka Kirby Smart? I don't know. Ask me in a month. All right. But the reality is, in 2011, I sat down with relatives. They were watching the Gators play, all big Gators fans. And I was relegated to the smaller TV to watch Bama play. And I had a blast. I didn't care about the fact that we were playing at the Citrus Bowl downtown Orlando. I had fun. I had fun watching Alabama romper stomp Michigan State. And thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. And while I want Alabama to continue to dominate, I would actually, and this is a me thing, okay, folks, but if you're where I am, this might be a you thing too. I'd like to get back to that. I would like to observe dominance, but just enjoy football again. And I hope that I can. And Ben in our audience has something very insightful, and I'm going to share this. I think that's a good assessment of the whole. Personally, it's not the record; it's what I see away from the ball, between plays, etc. I think that's a fair statement. So that is the philosophy half of it. If any of you gentlemen would care to input.
Are you sure that it was Ben that said that? 'Cause I'm not so sure. Ben said something wise. That's a little. I'm a little nervous now.
Well, let me tell you something about the rarefied air of Mr. McSwain. I used to work with this crazy ex-Navy aviator, and he flew everything that the Navy put in the air: F-14s, F-18s, S-2 trackers, so on and etc. And I used to kid my coworkers that we can't rattle run. All right. And I picked up a CD jewel case and I said, stick this facing you between your knees. Now imagine that is green and filled with static, and it's the only thing you have to put you on the deck of an aircraft carrier at night in the rain. He's done it. We can't screw with Ron. Okay, we can't mess with him. So Ben is kind of in that same boat. We can't screw with Ben. Ben flew F-15s. What could we possibly say to Ben to mess?
I don't know. It's fun to screw with Ben personally.
Well, no, it is. It is. Don't get me wrong. It absolutely is. And we're not going to stop just because the season's ending in a couple more games. Ben, don't think you're off the hook. We love you to pieces, though. All of our audience, you guys are great year in and year out. I know a lot of folks watch after the live streams. We don't get a huge audience in, but that's, the fact that they're out there is just awesome. But there was a piece of trivia for Austin Peay. Obviously, there wasn't for Auburn. Here's your Auburn trivia. Here's your Auburn game trivia. Auburn sucks. That's not a question. That's just the way that Auburn is. A statement of fact. We don't need any trivia. But the Austin Peay game, Austin Peay, they have a player who is the son of a gentleman that played for Nick Saban at Alabama in a few years prior. You guys know that. You guys know the father-son team.
Well, I did until you asked the question. Okay, I remember commenting to my wife about that during the Auburn game because somebody mentioned it during the broadcast, and now it's just gone. So,
okay, all right. Well, here we go. Trey Stover is the son of the Alabama wide receiver Nikita Stover. So Trey Stover, who's a defensive back for Austin Peay, is the son of Alabama wide receiver Nikita. Nikita, why did you not? You got to raise him up better. Get him into the transfer portal. Get him under Coach Saban. Get that boy some jewelry. All right. So that's our halftime trivia. And since I don't know where we're going bowling, I don't really have any halftime trivia for you this time.
Hey, how about when's the last time Alabama played a good game in the Sugar Bowl? How about that?
Oh, that's a little brutal. I was gonna suggest just a softball. Who is Alabama's first head coach? So some tradition. So, I tell you what, you guys answer whichever one of those questions you want and leave the answer in the live chat. You can put it down in the comments if you're listening later, or you can hit us up on Twitter. We are at Bama Dad Jokes on Twitter. And if you know the answer, we'll give you the shout out for our season wrap up. Yes, we have one more of these games, one more of these live streams coming. So Ben says when it was sponsored by USF&G. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's as close to the right answer as we can get, Ben. So we'll probably give you the shout out.
So I remember growing up, I thought USF&G was a company that made sugar.
That's Dixie. Come on.
Dixie. I know, because it's like, okay, I'm like 6, right? I'm like, what did we buy USF&G sugar, Mom? So.
Hell, I thought they were the company that made drywall mud, but that's USG. But anyway,
I got nothing here. I got nothing for this.
You got nothing for this? Okay. All right. So there's our halftime trivia. And I guess we'll hop into some looking around wait. Bo, is there anything grinding your gears right now? Did somebody throw a handful of sugar into your gears, my friend?
No, not this past couple of weeks. It's like, okay, well, I'm sure I could come up with something, but I don't have anything prepared.
Do you mind if I take the talking stick, or do you have something, John?
I will pass the conch to you.
All right. John, do you have anything?
I do, but you know what? That's what the SEC and top 10 is all about. It's all in there, I promise.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You're saving your ammo. I got you. All right. My grind, my Bose bugaboos that I'm taking over the mic for is very simple. If I were to say this to Coach Saban face to face, his response, if it was anything other than 1,000-yard stare past me, a polite chuckle, just kind of pressing his lips together in a thin line that could reduce a diamond to coal, would probably be something that would peel the paint off the inside of my eyeballs. But I will say this from the safety of the internet and relative obscurity. Coach Saban, it's time to get a new offensive coordinator. Since 2008, the Alabama Crimson Tide has been an offensive monster. Yes, we've had a great defense to back it up. But offense is what gets you to the final gun with a winning score. Bill O'Brien does not run an Alabama consistent offense. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that offense he's out there running is, Coach Saban. But it's not what we have been watching for the past 14 years. I saw this in a discussion because I have been wondering since last year where the hell our play action pass attack went. And the response given me was, well, Bryce doesn't like to do the play action pass, so O'Brien works with him on other things. Hold up. Pump the brakes for a minute. Since, well, I don't want to say 2015 because we had Derrick Henry and Jake Coker, I think, honestly closed his eyes and threw the ball. I mean, he just said, okay, OJ, TJ, just be out there. I'm throwing the ball. Be under it when it gets there. But we really built since 2016, and you can talk about natties and lack thereof in that period. We built the team around the play action pass. And we were monsters at it. We were monsters at it. And we're not doing that. Why aren't we doing that? You know, Bryce doesn't like the play action pass. You know what? Tua Tagovailoa didn't like to throw left-handed, and his dad said, you're a left-handed quarterback, kid. And he is arguably the best quarterback playing in the NFL right now. To quote one of my favorite Star Trek movies, what you want is irrelevant. It is what is at hand that is before you. So that's what's been grinding my gears, and it's been grinding my gears all damn season. Bryce is an incredible quarterback, and he won the Heisman Trophy on the strength of what he can do. But the reality is, he has no national championships, and unless, I don't know, pigs fly, he's not coming back. So he'll never get a national championship. This team was made great under great passing talent, and I don't think he's been developed that way. Nick, get off the stick. Fire Bill O'Brien. So that's it. There you go. I hope that was sufficiently grindy for me to have editorialized.
Works for me. I have no complaints with your complaints.
Thank you. And Ben brings up, he says, don't look now, but at season end, Alabama has the second best offense in the SEC behind only butt chug. So, you know, I get it. Okay. I understand. I mean, I've been griping about the defense. I've been griping about Will Anderson huffing his own farts. Will Anderson is arguably one of the best defensive players in the country. But we all want, playing at the 98th percentile is not playing at the 100th percentile. So, all right, John, over to you. Let me rest my ratcheting jaw. Give us some football, my friend.
All right. Well, we're going to start with the SEC, and we're just going to go down from the top to the bottom.
All right.
Starting with number 1 Georgia against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech led Georgia 7-3 into the second quarter and was only down 10-7 at halftime. This is Georgia Tech, who got their coach fired. What, week 2, week 3? But it didn't last because Georgia scored on their next 5 possessions, coming out of to put the game out of reach, and they won 37-14. Stetson Bennett was 10 of 18 for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Georgia had 264 yards rushing. While Zach Gibson for Georgia Tech went 19 of 35 for 191 yards, and the Yellow Jackets were held to 40 yards rushing on the day. Next up for Georgia, LSU in Mercedes Stadium in Atlanta. Speaking of LSU, they played Texas A&M last week, and they were deadlocked at 17 until Edger and Cooper forced a fumble by Jaden Daniels, and Devontae Richardson picked it up and returned it 27 yards for a touchdown to go up 24-17. Then the Aggies scored touchdowns on the next 2 possessions to take a 38-17 lead and went on to win 38-23. Connor Wegman was 12 of 18 for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Devon A-Train had 38 carries for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing for Texas A&M. And Jaden Daniels was 21 of 35 for 189 yards and 12 carries for 84 yards rushing for the Tigers in the loss. And next up for LSU is going to be probably a beatdown by Georgia. My guess.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, but LSU's been such a bipolar team this year.
Bipolar is a good name for it. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes. More bipolar than the last 3 girlfriends before I got married. I'm sorry. Did I say something? I didn't say that out loud, did I?
Some trauma, John.
So, I didn't say that out loud, did I? I'm sorry. All right. Let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about a game that happened about 350 miles to my east. South Carolina Clemson. Clemson jumped up on South Carolina 14-0 early to the mighty Tigers in Death Valley. And by the way, do all the South Carolina schools rip off things from other schools? USC, Death Valley?
Yeah.
South Carolina thing?
The Tigers in Death Valley. I thought you'd had a Bill Sylvie moment and misspoken, but no, folks, that is South Carolina. Yeah. Tigers, Death Valley.
And now they do have a unique thing. They rub a rock from another state.
True, yes, but Clemson couldn't decide which they wanted to rip off Auburn or LSU, and that's why they ended up with Tigers and orange and purple in Death Valley. So
yeah,
you know the story about how they got orange and purple, right?
They lost a bet to Oregon. What?
They lost a bet.
No, yeah, they hired. Was it Heisman they hired away from Auburn? I think it was. Who then took Auburn's orange and blue practice uniforms over with him. That's how they got those colors. But the blue pants faded.
Oh.
And they took. That's how they got their colors.
Well, that's better than gazing out at your window and saying, "Oh, that's a pretty shade of orange," and then plastering your entire city with it.
Well, it just kind of adds further credence to the whole Auburn with a lake thing.
True.
Yeah.
So they fell. South Carolina, the Gamecocks fell 14-0 down to the Tigers in Death Valley. Started out with a pick 6. Not good. Not good. Cobra was He almost he almost got demoted back to a garter snake, but he kept fighting back. And they kept fighting and they kept fighting, and they finally took the lead 31-30 with a Mitch Jeter 35-yard field goal with about 10:54 left in the game, and the Gamecocks held off Clemson the rest of the way. Spencer Radler, Spencer Cole, because he got upgraded, was 25 of 39 for 360 yards and 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, including the pick six, for South Carolina, while DJ Ugalele was 8 of 29 for 99 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And Will Shipley ran 15 for 132 yards and a touchdown in the loss. So South Carolina finished off strong, and actually I think they ended up ranked in the final regular season rankings. Next up for Clemson, they're going to play North Carolina and Charlotte, and they're not going to be going to the playoffs. No, they won't be going to the playoffs. But let's keep going. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Tennessee, this went about like you would imagine. Tennessee had 362 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground, led by Jalen Wright, who had 5 carries for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay, did you hear me? 5 carries, 160 yards, 32 yards per carry. That's kind of...
That's nuts.
Yeah. And Dylan Sampson had 12 carries for 131 touchdown as the Vols blasted Vanderbilt 56-0. And they're crowing because, well, they shut out Vanderbilt and we let them score a field goal towards it somewhere in that game. And Joe Milton, their quarterback, Joe Milton, the third backup quarterback, was 11 of 21 for 147 yards and a touchdown for the Vols. Well, A.J. Swan and Mike Wright for the Commodes. I'm sorry. I can't even remember. It's Commodes. Combined for 18 of 30 for 170 yards for Vanderbilt. Next up for Tennessee, some bowl that's not the playoffs. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Not even in the least. Next up, Florida State. Florida took a 24-21 lead in the halftime, but then Florida State scored 17 unanswered in the second half to take a 38-20. And the Seminoles skinned the Gators 45-38. Jordan Travis was 13 of 30 for 270 yards and a touchdown, with another 83 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, with Trey Benson adding another 111 yards on 20 carries and 3 touchdowns for Florida State. While for Florida, Anthony Richardson was 9 of 27 for 198 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick, and Trevor Etienne added another 70 carries for 129 yards on the ground with a touchdown in that loss. Next up for Florida, they finished 6-6, so I guess they get to go. Music City. I don't know what Bahamas. You know what? If they make it to the Bahamas Bowl, no, that should. See, the Bahamas Bowl shouldn't be a punishment. That should be, a top tier bowl because it's a trip to the Bahamas. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. If I can interject real quick, for those of you who don't live here in Florida, the nickname for the Florida Gators Florida State Seminoles game is the world's largest outdoor Dollar General parking lot fight.
There you go.
So there you go. There's a bit of trivia for you. Although it might be Target because Florida General, because of the Florida Seminoles are just a slight cut above. It might be the world's largest outdoor Target parking lot fight.
I have so many things I could say, but I'm gonna shut up because I don't want to get canceled. Never mind. I do know when to not say certain things.
Hashtag cancel John Gurley. We don't want that.
So let me tell you something. Mississippi State and Ole Miss. And this is my. I told you I had some things to say. I watched this game with some Ole Miss alumni in Arkansas, and it kind of made me feel like Sally Struthers strutting around in Africa. To be honest, it made me feel truly thankful for what Alabama has. even if it has been a down year by our standards, we have so much, and they were so excited for a first down. It was heartbreaking. We should share first downs and maybe even the occasional stop. I Screw that. No, we're not. All right. Ole Miss had trouble getting into the end zone early, settling for 3 field goals to take a 9-7 lead over Mississippi State. And Mississippi State scored a touchdown late in the first half, and it ended up 16-14. And then third quarter, neither team could get anything going. This game was an odd game. There were spurts where just neither team could execute, and then all of a sudden they were just.
Ole Miss had like 750 yards on the ground, or 750 total yards.
It wasn't this game. That was. Who did they lose to after us? Or was it? But yeah, they had. It was 400 and something yards on the ground, I think, and then 700 and something yards total, and they lost.
Yeah.
I can't remember that game. Help me. But it wasn't this game. They did not have that many yards.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. That's what happens when we don't when we let the shows go stale, folks. We had that break. I got loaded up on pie and turkey and stuff like that, and it just right out of my head. So,
well, I have to say we were visiting my wife's family, and her uncle smoked a marvelous turkey, and I probably overindulged and over OD'd on tryptophan, and I've forgotten some things. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm not even sad about it. I'm not. That was one of the best turkeys I've ever had. So the man's a genius with a pellet grill.
Excellent.
So and after all this and stalling, it was against Arkansas. They lost 42-27, 463 yards rushing. How much did they have total?
Ben's got
703 yards.
703 yards and 27 points.
Yeah, that's just 12 penalties, 116 yards. That had something to do with it. 3 turnovers. That has something to do with it. Let me just say, let me finish this game out because it was interesting. Mississippi State started moving the ball early in the fourth quarter, late in the third, early in the fourth. Got a field goal and then followed up with a 55-yard touchdown drive capped by a 22-yard pass from Will Rogers to Rara Thomas with about 7:58 left. Both teams fumbled to each other. Ole Miss came out and said, "Oh, here you go," and Mississippi State came back and said, "Oh no, please, you take it back." And Ole Miss got the ball back at their own 1 with 5 minutes left, and drove 99 yards to get the score back to 24-22. Very late in the game, about 2 minutes left, 24-22. Had to go for 2. So they ran one of their 2-point plays, which was a sprint out shuffle pass. We've seen it before, right? That's a fairly popular play these days. What happened this time was the defensive tackle, Randy Charlton, threw his hand out and knocked it down. It looked like a basketball, how you in basketball you throw that hand outside way to tip a pass, but he got it all and knocked it straight down to the ground. End of threat. They didn't get the onside kick back, and Mississippi State was able to end the game.
Right.
24-22. Interesting game. Kentucky-Louisville. Kentucky jumped out to a 13-0 lead and held on for a 26-13 win. NFL Day 1 starter Will Levis was 11 for 19 for 188 yards, but it was, a good 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. While Chris Rodriguez Jr. toted the rock 24 times for 120 yards, and Matt Ruffalo was 4 of 4 on field goals for the Wildcats. While for Louisville, Brock Doman was 14 of 21 for 129 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He also lost a fumble. and Jawar Jordan had 22 carries for 145 yards for the Cardinals. Yeah, yes, Kentucky was glad to get the win, but yeah, it meant nothing. Louisville's not that. We're going to finish off with Missouri, Arkansas, and I told you I spent Thanksgiving in Arkansas.
You did. You did.
And it was, and this was, I was 5 minutes from the campus for several days. But they decided to go to Missouri, so didn't have to deal with all that traffic. Arkansas finished a back and forth first half, leading Missouri 21-20. But then the Tigers scored 10 points on the first two possessions of the second half, aided by a KJ Jefferson interception that led to a 29-yard field goal to take the lead 29-21. But Arkansas could only manage 2 field goals in the second half, and Missouri beat them 29-27 to get to 6-6 in bowl eligibility. So they're both 6-6. After watching how Missouri played early in the year, this kind of surprised me. But Arkansas has gotten worse, and Missouri's gotten better. Missouri's Brady Cook was 16 of 26 for 242 yards and a touchdown, and rushed for another 138 and a touchdown on the ground. I don't understand why these teams keep running their quarterbacks that much, but maybe they have to. It just seems like an awfully big risk.
Maybe all of the SEC coaches said, "Okay, let's get together, guys. Let's not pass this season. Let's just go back to ground games."
Well, it's more like let's just let the quarterback keep the ball. We're never going to hand it off. He's just going to drop back and take off. It seems like what's happening, because this is a nationwide thing. It's a recurrent in a lot of these games. And by the way, for the Piggies, KJ Jefferson was 20 of 27 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick.
All right. Well, we do have an Arkansas fan in our audience, so there you go, Tonka Todd.
They are no longer pulled pork, Todd. Sorry, they have to be demoted. They're not quite bacon bits, but
are they back to pre-cooked bacon?
There may be like an undercooked shoulder or something. I don't know.
That's harsh but fair. I mean, I think even Tonka Todd would agree with that. With a 6-6, they're going. What do you figure? 6-6. Something out west, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. What was that song by Primus? I'm going back. What was that song?
I know Green Jello did the Three Little Pigs. Is that what you're
No, this is the one where he was talking. It was a race car driver.
Oh, Jerry was a race car driver.
Yes, he never did win any races, but he never did come in last.
Yeah,
Arkansas is that. Arkansas is Jerry. They never didn't win any championships, but didn't come in last either. They're just kind of right there in the middle, the definition of mediocrity. But that does it for the SEC. Let's move over to the top 10. This will be fun because number 1 is Georgia. We've already talked about them. Number 2 is Ohio State. I've been preaching this to you all year since the very first game that Michigan was built to bully Ohio State. And what happened? Go on. Guess. What happened? Anybody?
Ohio State laid an egg against the first team with the pulse that they've seen all year.
Yes, I am gloating, and I'm going to keep gloating. Ohio State led most of the first half, and they did lead 20-17 at the half. But then the Wolverines held the Buckeye offense to a single field goal in the second half. C.J. Stroud was picked off twice in the fourth quarter. And right in the same time, Donovan Edwards had a 75-yard touchdown and an 85-yard touchdown. 2 one-play drives. Hand it to the big man. Whoo, he gone. And Michigan knocked off rival Ohio State 45-23. J.J. McCarthy was 12 of 24 for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns. And a couple of his were some nice over-the-top ones. Ohio State was up there. They were stopping the run by and they said, okay, there you go, right over the top of the safety. So he had 3 touchdown passes, and he ran for another, while Donovan Edwards had 22 carries for 216 yards, and the aforementioned 2 touchdowns for the Maize and Blue, while C.J. Stroud was 31 of 48 passing for 349 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the 2 picks for the Bucknuts. Next up for Michigan are playing some nobody in the Big Ten championship. I can't even remember who it was. It's somebody that another mediocrity. This is terrible. While Ohio State is sitting at home talking about how they could throw a football over that mountain. Number 3, that was number 2 Ohio State versus number 3 Michigan. So we're going to drop down to TCU. TCU outgained Iowa State 377 to 330 for the game. 377 total yards to 330. What do you think the outcome of that game? Just give me a guess as to the final score. What that game you think it would be if you heard that? That sounds like a 21-17 game to me. Maybe.
24-20, something like that. Yeah.
So they had 246 yards passing with 22 completions and 131 yards rushing. So I'm asking, how do you beat someone 62-14 on that kind of offensive output?
I don't know. That is.
So, can I give you an answer?
Yeah.
Sure.
2 pick sixes and 2 fumbles that gave the Horny Toads the ball on the Cyclones 22 and 38. Spotted them 28 points.
Oh, can I just real quick for just a half second? Let me jump back to the Iron Bowl. Did we all see the glorious butt fumble in the Iron Bowl? Not on us, obviously, but no. That was the Iron Bowl. Auburn player did a butt fumble. He ran into his own defender and lost the ball.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Yes. When you were talking about butt fumble, I was thinking during the snap, but okay. Yes. I just see that.
No. All right. Anyway, I apologize for interrupting. Please pick up where you were, Maestro.
Okay. I need to find some video of this one. So, 2 pick sixes and 2 fumbles that spotted them. Got some really good field position. They got spotted 28 points basically. So Max Duggan had 17 completions and 24 attempts for 212 yards and 3 touchdowns for TCU. Not a horrible day, not a great day. Hunter Deckers was 12 of 24 for 106 yards, a touchdown, and a pick six for Iowa State. Who cares? They suck up the joint. I don't care. TCU, next up, they have Washington and the Big 12 team. Now, number 6, USC. How do I put this one? Notre Dame had 2 turnovers that led to 2 touchdowns, and USC running back, and I didn't catch his name, had 25 carries for 154 yards, but Caleb Williams, the USC's quarterback, single-handedly won the game and the Heisman by completing 18 of 22 passes for 232 yards and a touchdown, and running for 3 more on 35 yards rushing. So his running back had 154 yards rushing, but every time they got close, he'd pull it and run for a touchdown himself. Maybe a good strategy since apparently Notre Dame wasn't playing the zone read, but selfish to me personally. And the Trojans beat the Fighting Irish 38-27. So remember, 2 turnovers led to 2 touchdowns, but they only beat them by 11. But they blew them out, and they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. For the Irish, Drew Pine completed 23 of 26 for 318 with 3 touchdowns, a pick and a fumble. So maybe he's a little fumble. He needs to hold on to the ball better, maybe. And Notre Dame rushed for 90 yards in the game. Next up for USC, they're playing Utah in Las Vegas. So number 7 is Alabama. Number 8 was Clemson. We already talked about them. Number 9, Oregon. Oregon's punter fumbled a snap at the 2-yard line. Then they went for it on 4th down at their own 29, and Bo was stopped a yard short. And the Ducks magically transformed a 31-10 lead into a 38-34 loss. Oh, the way these things go. Oregon State scored touchdowns on 4 of their last 5 possessions, and that last possession was drawn out the clock. And the drive distances were 75 yards, 36 yards, 2 yards, and 28 yards. And nary a pass was thrown in any of those drives. Not a single one. For the Ducks, not the Bucks. Bo Nix completed 27 of 41 passes for 327 yards and 2 touchdowns. While for the Beavers, Ben Gilbranson completed 6 of 13 for 60 yards and 2 picks. While Damian Martin carries for 103 yards, and Oregon State rushed for 268 yards and 5 touchdowns total. So now you see why they didn't stop passing, because 6 of 13 for 60 yards and 2 picks. Yeah, okay, let's hand it off. Good job, buddy. You handed it off very well. And by the way, the Beavers are this year's winner of the hold on. Checking my notes here. The Platypus Trophy. The Ducks and the Beavers were playing for the Platypus Trophy.
No, once again, that's something that we could get kicked right off of YouTube for me saying, so let's move on.
And Oregon next is going to be wondering how a team with the same conference record that they beat head to head plays in the conference championship over them. I'm going to say that again.
How is that?
I don't know. Apparently their tiebreakers don't either they don't take into account head to head, or it's much lower down in the criteria. I don't know.
So their first tiebreaker is not head to head?
I didn't write the rules. It's Pac-10, man. They probably let Stanford do it, and they probably they took a derivative and said no, it's something else. So, that's what happens. That's what happens when you let Stanford write the rules. And number 10 was Tennessee, and I am finished with that segment. I'm going to take a breath.
Okay, I'm still confused about the whole Pac-10 conference. Pac-12 conference championship. How in the crap does that even work?
Forget it, Bo. It's Pac-10 town. What I know about the Pac-10 is that since we moved the show to Thursday nights, I no longer have to sit up to 4 a.m. writing the show notes for who beat whom, or be worried about them on that rare chance that we get a Pac-10 after dark game, where it kicks off and it's 3 a.m. here on the East Coast, crap like that. So I can't help you beyond that. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll have to look that up when we're done.
Who knows? I don't know. Maybe somebody can Google it while we go through the buy or sell segment, maybe. Because it's that time.
It is that time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time on the show when we go to our roll top wooden desks, we click on our green hooded lamps and put on our likewise green visors, bring our mechanical calculators over, roll up our sleeves, and get down to some serious funny money with our stock picks for college football and your financial advisor, Mr. John Henry. And just a reminder, folks, stock performance is not an indicator of any expected profits. Please invest at your own risks, John.
Thank you, sir. And we are going to start at the top, and we are going to begin with number 1. And my number 1 is Georgia.
I'm buying them. Hold on. They're a hold.
Exactly.
They are a hold right now because I don't. Okay, look. We all remember 10-10 Citadel, right? All of us Tide fans remember 10-10 Citadel. Really, guys? Georgia Tech? Georgia Tech. I mean, that wasn't like 10-7 Georgia Tech going in the half and you all just came out and tuned up and blew them away, all right? That almost constituted a struggle win. So I'm not selling them, but I'm not buying anymore right now. See me after round one of the playoffs if we're gonna do that. But I'm not buying any Georgia right now. Ben says, sell everything, burn it down, become ungovernable. Ah!
Look, I'm not going crypto here. All right. No FTX.
No FTX. We're SEC, not FTX, folks.
All right. So, Bo, what do you say?
Yeah, I would hold. Definitely hold at 1. If you had put them at 2, I would also hold.
Okay, so you think that, at this point, 1 and 2 don't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
They are, top seeds.
Yep.
All right. Well, my number 2, shocker, it's Michigan, where they have been for a long time because I told you so.
And
yes,
you made
did.
You made a true believer out of me. You are the guy who held Apple stock from like 1987 all the way until 1998. And you've now got a smug look on your face because you're a billionaire. So as far as I'm concerned, Michigan is the Apple stock. And you're supposed to buy the dips. Okay.
Yeah.
If Michigan was 10-1, that would be the buy financially, but this is football and things are a little different. I am buying Michigan. I am a born again khakis convert as far as being enthused about that team. So Michigan, I'm all about it. Just hit me with that dark blue polo and those nice beige khakis and a good comfortable set of loafers I can walk around the office in.
Insert Corky Simpson reference here.
Yes.
Bo.
Yeah, I will hold Michigan at 2. I know that's boring, but that's what I'm going to do. At this point in the game, your portfolio should be pretty filled out. And unless you see a tank coming, like if you happen to own any LSU stock, then just hang on to what you got.
Fair enough. Now, this is the point where things are going to go off the rails from what everybody else is talking about, because my number 3 is Ohio State.
No, I'm selling Ohio State at 3. Sorry.
Yep.
Well,
Ohio. Go ahead.
That's fine. The thing is, I can't buy TCU, Alabama. Look, I am not putting USC up there. I am not. I do not believe in them. No, the data does not bear that out. So, and TCU lives off the struggle, win, and come from behind. They're like Notre Dame, 2012. Honestly, that's what they remind me of, is the 2012 Notre Dame team.
Ooh, that is a great analogy.
So I can't put them at number 3. So right now, Ohio State is my number 3. Even with a loss.
Even with a 3-score plus loss at home?
To a team that could be number 1. I didn't think about putting.
Yeah, but if your team is 1 spot behind them, it shouldn't be 3+ scores at home.
Then you have to compare them to other teams.
I'm rooting for chaos, so
Well,
TCU all the way, man. No, I don't know what to think about TCU either. So, but I would still sell Ohio State at 3 just because. Screw those guys.
okay, because screw those guys. Okay, fair enough. So we're both selling Ohio State at number 3, is what I'm hearing. Or Bill, did you even say?
I haven't said.
Okay.
Ohio State. Yeah, I'm selling them at number 3. Honestly, after being spanked like that, Ohio State. I'm not saying this to try and wedge Bama in. I have some thoughts on Bama in the playoffs. I'll share later. But no, I don't. I think Ohio State should have gotten ejected from the top 4 for that. For such a beatdown. I'm selling Ohio State. Sell.
That's fair, but I'm not rewarding wins and punishing losses. I'm trying to sort out the best here,
No,
dispassionately. Although
I
I will be passionate about it.
I am
Passionate
go.
but emotionally. How's that? All
I
right.
am I'm dispassionate about it as well. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, no, you can I just think objectively Ohio State is not a good number 3 team. I think when you they're weak on schedule and they lost to a team they absolutely had no business losing to. So I am being dispassionate. My dislike of the Buckeyes aside, they should have lost, or they should be sold rather. Sorry.
Okay. See, I think we're the best when I make you defend your choice.
I know, and it's, I can just sit back here and go, buy, sell, and then you stop me and you go, John Houseman and Paper Chase, Here's
Yes.
Mr. Sylvie, go call your mother and tell her to pick you up.
Well, he used the what was the Socratic method, and I kind of like that method.
Yes.
All right, moving on. We are definitely digressing. Number 4, TCU.
I mean, yeah, I'll buy TCU at 4. Yeah, why not? I mean, I like them better than Ohio State. So there's something about a team that finds a way to win. Sometimes you just got to find a way to win, and why not TCU?
I don't know. I keep imagining a matchup between Ohio State and TCU, and I think Ohio State's offense would be a little bit too much for TCU. I don't think they could keep up.
Well, the good thing about your hypothetical situation is Ohio State and TCU don't have to play each other. So,
Uh, yeah, true, but I'm looking for the best. I'm not looking for the most deserving.
oh,
So
okay. All right.
defend
Well,
yourself, sir.
so it's not Ohio State. It's not USC. I mean, I I think, yeah, okay. So I'm going to rethink my situation. I'm going to hold them at 4, pending the outcome of this weekend's game. Because
Against K
they
State.
could easily, yeah, I know, right, but they could easily lay an egg.
Oh yeah, they
And
could. K State's not a bad team.
yeah,
They
not
do have the
find a way
capability
to
of beating
win.
them.
Yeah, right. So it's week 13. They could not find a way to win and end up falling out of the top 4. So
Yeah, I don't know. If they do drop out of the top, they might. But right, let's see. It's TCU. The polls had the committee has them at number 3 and USC at number 4, if I can recall correctly.
yes, that's correct.
And USC could very well lose because they've already lost to the team they're about to play.
Yes.
So that would get them 2 losses, which a lot of people think would put Ohio State in because we're behind Ohio State. Ohio State's number 5, we're number 6.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. If TCU loses, maybe Ohio State gets in over them. It depends on how they lose, I suppose. But Alabama's not jumping Ohio State and TCU in that situation.
No,
I think
it
we're
would
out.
take a low loss from both TCU and USC. for Alabama to even have a chance of getting back in. And you could make that argument, although this year it's like, yeah, why bother?
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to the 2007 season when LSU was out of it with 2 losses and went and beat Tennessee in the SEC championship game, and then chaos ensued, and all the teams that were ahead of them got beat in conference championship games. But since we're not playing in a conference championship game, I find it hard to think that scenario would work for us this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Bill, we've been talking about TCU at number 4 for a while. What say you, sir?
TCU, in my opinion, is the Cincinnati of 2022. I don't really think they're there on much of a strength of schedule. I'm sorry. I said it. I mean, but who else do you put there? So
That's been my thing the whole time.
I guess I'm a hold on TCU because I don't see them as a good long-term investment. Sorry, horny toad fans. But the reality is they're not. Look, the playoffs are going to kick off, no pun intended, and they're going to run face first into Michigan or Ohio State or, God help them, Georgia. And they're going to find out. They're going to find out like Cincy found out. It's neat that you're there. Yay for you. You're not a P5 caliber team, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm not buying TCU. I mean, if you ask me to rearrange the top 4, I can't because of how chaotic things are. I will hold them so I don't have to sweat selling you on somebody else. But that number 4, that is a distant 4. That is a vast gulf between 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, okay. Now, who's your 3 in that case?
Oh, you son of a... Okay. Who is my 3 in this case? I mean, okay, we're being dispassionate. We are not... We are not talking about hatreds or rivalries or anything like that. My number 3 in this case is the University of Tennessee.
Okay. I think we can move this conversation forward by moving further down the polls, and then we can get to something. Because my number 5 is Alabama. Yes, I have them ranked ahead of Tennessee, and I have them ranked ahead of LSU both.
Yes, I will buy Alabama at 5. But it's kind of like betting on red or black at this point. It's like which Bama shows up.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So if we're thinking forward to playoffs, we've got a Bryce Young who's healing and can practice and get reps with his receivers now, and I think we can get a little more practice time with the offensive linemen, and I think that offense would be clicking. And hopefully we'll get healed up a little bit up front on defense and be able to stop a run somewhere. But Tennessee, they're playing with their backup quarterback. Their best player, done for the year. And remember, they were 3 points better than us at their house on Bryce Young's first game back when he could practice. And they had to have a field goal on the last play of the game after our field goal kicker inexplicably missed a kick. One of his 4 on the year that he missed. So it's not like they were miles better than us even on that day in their house.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're without the quarterback. Defense run. So, yeah. I can't put it. I can't put Tennessee ahead of Alabama at this point. I mean, did you see what South Carolina did to them? It was. I mean, they dominated them, especially in the second half.
Yeah, the ghost of Stephen Garcia still lives.
Oh God, you had to bring that up. All right. So, you're buying Alabama at number 5, Bill?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So my number 5 is Tennessee.
So,
did I just talk them down for you or something?
no, but sell. Well, sort of. You mentioned it. It wasn't that I didn't know, but their best player's out. Sell. They're done.
Okay. And Bill? Now, I only said Tennessee earlier because you asked me a hypothetical, but objectively, in the real world, yes, of course, sell.
Okay.
I have to get back in the good graces of our audience, guys.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, you'll note what I switched the crawl to.
Sorry, I've been focused on this and I haven't been watching the comments. I'll have to go back and
fine.
Read those. So my number 7 is 3-loss LSU. They're again, they beat us by 1 in overtime at their house at night in Death Valley. The magic place. And our quarterback wasn't getting reps during the week because he couldn't throw the ball. So yeah, I'm still taking that into account. And now LSU's lost 3 games, and the last game is Texas A&M. How do you lose to Texas A&M? Nobody lost to Texas A&M this year. I mean, that was their thing.
It's that midnight yell. It's a satanic ritual, guys.
Yeah, I'm wondering what payment they had to render for this SEC win.
I don't know, but I think I heard the faint strains of The Devil Went Down to Georgia being played.
All right. So what do we think of LSU at number 7?
I'm going to sell LSU at number 7.
Okay.
Yes. Don't know who I'd put there, but I would no.
If it's who the next team is, I'm going to come after you. But okay, Bill, what do you think?
I'm selling them at 7, dude. I don't know. Next year,
you just
Brian,
don't believe in them, do you? You can't put your money into that kind of performance.
No, I don't. That kind of inconsistency. I mean, well, they beat Bama by 2 points.
No,
okay. You give Bryce another few days to heal up, and we would have beaten them by 10. And that's just how I feel about it. So I feel like keeping them at 7, I wouldn't do that. They're for me.
Well, maybe you want to put my number 8 there, and that's Clemson.
I don't want to touch. Ew.
Did you get your fingers in some Clemson?
Ew, God!
Put your fingers in the Clemson.
Oh, it's getting everywhere. Oh, Bo, get me a microfiber cloth or something.
Hang on, Penn State's right over there. I'll get to borrow a towel.
Oh,
there is something good I could say about Penn State. They have a really good ice cream place there. Really good. And it's part of the university, which is, I think, is weird. A university making ice cream, but that may be kind of beyond brand for Penn State, to be honest. Hey, little kid, you want some ice cream?
Oh, no, dude. No.
All right, enough with the jokes. What do you guys think about Clemson at number 8?
Uh, I have no strong feelings either way about Clemson at 8. I mean, I've said this for years. Clemson punches above their weight, and I don't mean that in a positive way. And Dabo Swinney is not going to start. He's shown no inclination to change his mode of thinking. He's like he's stuck in 5 years ago, and it's only going to get worse as the years go by. So I mean, honestly, I would push Clemson back to 10. So they're a sell for me at 8.
All right, Bo.
Yeah, I'm selling Clemson at 8. Same reasons as Tennessee, basically.
Because they ain't got a quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just to put it simply, they ain't got a quarterback. They're I mean, when your backup quarterback's the most popular guy on the team, you got problems. And yeah, their quarterback. I've been telling you all year the quarterback's a stiff. He's not good. He's gotten worse.
No, I think we could. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just remember it was just 2 short seasons ago in 2020 when he came in because what's his name had COVID and they couldn't play. He could play him and he threw for like 400 yards. I think that's the only time he's ever gotten close to that. I don't think he's gotten close to that since in 2 seasons of starting. So I don't know what it is with this guy, but he does not seem to be improving. He's gone backwards. He was better last year.
Well, I mean, his old age is catching up with him. Oh no, wait, that was Tennessee's quarterback. My bad.
I don't know what to do. Maybe it's coaching. It may be coaching. I don't know. He is not developing. And he was an NFL caliber quarterback. He may get a shot because of his size and his potential, but it's not going to be on one tape. Sorry. So you guys are selling Clemson. I did not mean to go on a diatribe there, but I did, didn't I? So my number 9. I'm going to open the door, throw a bag of poop, and closing the door to let you guys fight it out. My number 9 is Utah.
Sure. Why not? Buy me some Utah at 9. That's a discount. They're better than USC, and
Absolutely.
Good. They've got 3 losses. USC's got 1, but one of their wins is against USC. So I put them ahead of USC because honestly, I think they're better. So, Bill, what do you think about that?
Sure. I'm buying them. I'm buying them.
Ahead of USC. 1 loss, USC.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that would
be
slightly more controversial. What's that?
No, who did Utah lose to, though?
Florida.
Yeah.
In the swamp.
Yes.
Who else did they lose to? I do not remember. You make me go back and look it up. So
the Florida loss was like game number 1, right, or number 2?
That was first game of the year, and that was in the swamp. So
right,
they lost to USC, and they lost to Oregon.
Oregon, that's right. They lost to Oregon.
So
yeah, I'd still buy them though.
Yeah. So let's see. 2017, they lost to Oregon, and they lost 42-32 to UCLA. And they beat USC 43-42 at home. So anyway, I've got Utah at number 9, but that means my number 10 is USC, and they will be playing each other on Saturday. Actually, they play each other tomorrow night. I might be staying up late watching some Pac-12 After Dark. All right, so what do you guys think about USC at number 10?
Yeah, I'm going to sell.
So you don't even think they're a top 10 team?
No, I don't think. USC is basically Clemson West.
That's that harsh but fair.
Actually, I would adjust that. I think they're Oklahoma West.
Okay, they're Oklahoma West.
So yeah,
Clemson
has a defense but no quarterback. USC has a quarterback but no defense.
Yeah.
So there you go. And Bill, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, when was the last time a big team from out west really rose to the occasion? I mean, in this century, in the last couple of decades.
2005.
Shut up. Anyway, as I said, it hasn't happened. So, USC is a sell for me.
All right, so we don't even think they're a top 10 team, and they're sitting at number 4, 1 win away from the playoffs right now.
Oh. Yeah.
So, there's a divergence of opinion.
It was a little rocky, little rocky.
That's okay. That makes it fun. And speaking of fun, I am done, and I'm getting ready to go to bed. So, back to you.
Well, usually this would be the place where we would pontificate and ponder about what is going to happen in Alabama's next game. That all depends on who Alabama's going to play, and we don't know yet. The committee has locked, and I put that in big air quotes, the Final Four, who are also the starting 4. But I do want to touch on a couple of things that have come around. It is official now. The Rose Bowl committee has agreed to expand the playoffs to a 12-team system that will begin in 2024. And under those circumstances, Alabama would be fine. Unfortunately, under those circumstances, not USC, but Utah would also, for example, be fine. I'm going to say something. Yeah. Under that system, Clemson's going to be in every year until Dabo Swinney retires, unfortunately. And that doesn't mean that
we get to watch them get blown out by a quality team.
Yeah, I mean 8-4 teams don't belong in the damn at a damn national championship shot. I'm sorry.
Does anybody remember the bowl game where they played West Virginia? This was a couple of years before they started. This is before not long started. What, 2002, somewhere between the early 2010s, where West Virginia just laid 70 on them and got their defensive coordinator fired.
I'll have to find the highlights on YouTube. That sounds like great fun.
You're going to see a whole bunch of jet sweeps go for touchdowns because they could not figure out how to stop it.
Hey, as long as it's not Citadel doing it to Alabama, I'll watch it all day and twice on Sunday. But to go back to the Crimson Tide, to the idea of expanding the playoffs, here's the thing. Okay, let's say chaos reigns. Let's say Georgia loses. Let's say Michigan loses. Let's say USC and TCU all lose. The gut reaction might be, fit Alabama in. Alabama should be number 4. I don't know that we do well enough to get to a national title, guys. I don't. Maybe it's good that we sit a year. All right, let's just enjoy a bowl. Let's not get Bryce or anybody else injured. This loops right back around to what I was saying at the beginning of the game. If our expectations are, let's have fun, then let's have fun. And leave us not forget The 2019 Citrus Bowl was when a young man named Matthew McCorkle Jones, took center stage and played like a hateful competitor. And people don't remember this. Mac got a molar shattered in that game. Shattered. Like busted into multiple pieces, and he kept playing. All right. I stubbed my toe and I need to sit down. I'm like, oh, I'm done. I know I was going to cut the lawn today, but I stubbed my toe. I gotta sit down. Could this be a similar moment for an upcoming quarterback in our game when we'll see what the next generation is, who our next championship winner will be? I'd like to think so. But maybe it's best if we don't. Now, if we do, we do. And I hope we go in and I hope we slaughter without let or remittance the teams will get thrown up against. But I don't think it's going to happen. But if it did, I would expect nothing less than championship level play out of this Crimson Tide team. But I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with the Crimson Tide playing a good bowl game, a good, fun, enjoyable bowl game, and we'll get back to business in September of 2023. Bo, you want to?
So, 4 teams in the playoff is more than enough the majority of years. It's this year, it's 2 teams too many, right? This everybody deserves a participation trophy attitude is, I mean, it's killing what college football is, and it's turning it quickly into NFL light. And I don't like NFL. I definitely don't want a light version of NFL. Okay, so and for the people that are like, oh well, we need to expand the playoffs so that other teams will have a chance to participate. All you're doing is guaranteeing 2 or 3 SEC teams in the playoffs every year.
Yep,
that's all you're doing, and more times than not, one of those teams is going to be Alabama. So I get it. It's more about the money than it is about the sport, which is sad. But, I've kind of, made my peace with it, and I'm not complaining too much about it. And then one of these years when Alabama makes the playoff after 3 losses and wins the whole damn thing, I'm just going to laugh about it. I'm going to say, but this is what you wanted.
They ask themselves, or they ask the question, is this what you want college football to become? And John?
So this is going to kill 2 things. It's going to kill the regular season, and it's going to kill the bowls. Because bowls are already dying, because if you're not in the playoffs, you noticed teams that aren't in the playoffs, they have a lot of players opt out, and it's usually the best players. So you're not seeing the best version of that team on the field in that bowl game. And they're not really, a lot of times, they're not really a lot of fun to watch, because there's some quarterback and, your starting quarterback and maybe your feature back and a couple wide receivers are out because they're getting ready to go get work out and get ready for the draft. So what shows up on the field is usually a poor imitation of what they had during the regular season. That does not make for good bowls, and people are starting to avert their eyes because it's hard to watch sometimes. This is just going to make that worse. I mean, playoffs are going to be great, but you're going to see better quality of play there because everybody's going to stick around hoping to win a national championship. But the rest of the bowl games are going to die. They're going to lose money. You'll see them start to peel away.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think this is the end of a good portion of what makes college football great. I mean, guys, let me just wax poetic if I can for a minute here. We watch college football not just so we get more football. Okay. I know plenty of people who don't watch the NFL at all. I'm one of them. Bo's one of them. It has no appeal to me. It's not a good product in my opinion. Okay. College football is about legacy. It's about pageantry. I mean, yeah, there's some derpy meme games and meme teams, but I talked about this before. I talked about, you get a young man from a bottom feeding team and they go, 8-4, 9-3, whatever, in whatever division they're from, the Sun Belt or what have you. And they play their hearts out. They play whistle to pistol. And at that final game, the final game they'll play for college football, there's no NFL officials out there, or no NFL recruiters out there, and they know not to even bother sending their resume in. Those guys do it for the love of the game, and if you're going to start taking away that one moment in the sun that they'll have because nobody cares, I mean, suddenly your viewership of the Tostitos Arizona Bowl or whatever drops from a few million because, hey, it's right around New Year's Day and it's football to 300,000. What is that going to do to what we grew up loving and watching and enjoying? It's going to kill it. It's going to kill it, and I can't in good conscience sit here and say that this is a good thing because it's not. I will continue to watch and root for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Roll Tide till I die. But college football as a sport is taking a huge nosedive with this expanded playoff.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm sure there's people who felt the same way about the AFC merging with the NFL or, insert example here. But honestly, this is such a sea change. This NIL and a few other things are, in my opinion, are going to turn this into NFL light. And none of us want that. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
I think we've covered just about everything.
I think we have. Well, we'll be back for one more game, guys. One more coverage, kind of an end of the season wrap up, unless chaos happens and suddenly we have to arrange a couple more shows. Wouldn't that be hilarious? But I'm
rooting for chaos. So
chaos reigns, brother. Chaos reigns. So that's going to do it for us this evening, folks. Hopefully, we'll have at least one bowl game more to cheer on and watch and enjoy. But until then, for Bo Ganora and John Henry, I am Bill Sylvie, and this has been the Houndstooth Podcast. Roll Tide.